Hey everybody, welcome back. This is our second episode of Those Wrestling Girls.
God.
We're so excited. I'm Krista B.
I'm PR.
And today we're going to step on a lot of toes. We're going to step on a lot of toes today. Today our episode is about misogyny in the world of wrestling. And for you, those of you who don't know what misogyny is just really like the mishatred or the hatred towards women or prejudice towards women. And as women on this podcast, we want to focus on how misogyny plays a part in women's wrestling and how women's wrestling and women's empowerment during this evolution is literally changing the scope and literally bringing down the misogyny level by a whole lot.
Yeah. I personally have been excited to do this episode because as Krista and I have been venturing into the wrestling industry, I guess you can say, we've even in this short amount of time have experienced our own incidences where we've kind of seen those misogynistic fans sort of like creep in, and with social media it really gives them like this platform to spew this hate, and because the women are more visual, it's sort of like giving them ammunition. Every little mistake they make, it gets like harped on like so much harder than I feel like the men do. I don't know if you agree with that, but
That's true.
I feel like a lot of like websites like they'll write a whole article when like Nia Jax or someone injures someone, and we'll get to that later. Don't worry, guys. But when like male wrestlers have injured each other by mistake, and it's not like people don't send them death threats on social media the way that women do, which I think is so ridiculous.
I agree with Brie Bella and her mistakenly injuring Liv Morgan. It was just like, she received a lot to where Daniel Bryan had to just be on some, you know what?
Chill.
Like, everybody injured somebody. Like, he had to throw his old injuries up there to even out the playing field, because at the end of the day, you're not just attacking a female wrestler. You're attacking his wife. You're attacking a mom. You're attacking a woman. Like, people act like these things don't happen, and they do.
They do.
Even though wrestling is under the facade of sports entertainment and being, oh, this is fake, everything's ready, storyline out, accidents and injuries happen. They are real. And for men to just say like, well, she should have been more careful, or she should have just kept her feet down, or death threats, like that's just really beyond me.
Over the top.
Yeah, definitely over the top.
And for me personally, it just kind of makes wrestling not fun. For example, during Monday Night Raw, everything, that next day, everyone's so excited, like it was such a rush, and then you have to go and see people spilling hate towards Nia Jax. Even Dana Brooke and Lana somehow got in the mix of that whole thing as well, and they were getting hate too, to the point where they had to respond. And I just feel like when it gets to that point where wrestlers, especially the women, have to defend every single thing that they do that doesn't seem right to a random ass fan on Twitter, that's when it's like not fun. Like if Lana has to go and respond to like every troll, like for something that other fans are misinterpreting, then it's like, that's when it's just whack to me. And do you feel like certain fans, the misogynistic ones that we're talking about, are like almost waiting for women, the women to fuck up a little bit so that they can like go in?
Yeah. Of course, I feel like that's why they watch it.
Yeah.
Like they don't really care about the women's evolution. They care more so about, oh, what if Charlotte Flair boobs look great today, or I like that new outfit that Sasha Banks is wearing, how it's extra short and it's pink and it's girly,
or Bailey got the fatty.
Yeah, like they don't really care to see them actually perform and the talent that these women possess. They do not care about that at all.
No.
So I do feel like they just wait at the TV and fuck up. Shit, that's getting them views.
Yep. Even after Evolution, I came across accounts that literally just pointed out everything that went wrong during Evolution. So it's like something so historic and amazing to so many people gets turned into that kind of thing. And I'm so glad that you brought up Charlotte's boobs, because ever since something happened to us, I will always, like every time I see Charlotte's boobs, I'm gonna think about this thing. Do you wanna Go there,
So we
Krista.
were on Twitter. We're not going to name the handle or anything. And we were or are or whatever a part of this group on Twitter.
It's like a fan page that like tweets out shit about WWE all day long.
Right. So in the midst of us beginning those wrestling girls and we knew what we stand for and what we still stand for, somebody tweeted, "Oh my gosh, Charlotte boobs look amazing." And Patricia, she just like went off.
I did, because for me, I'm very sensitive to these sort of things anyway, which I've learned, and sometimes I can overreact. But it was right after Charlotte had speared Becky into the Titantron, and I just thought that was a huge moment in the women's evolution and division in general, because those kind of like big moments usually like happen for the men. So I was like, oh my God, this is like so dope, especially for their feud, such a big moment. And I go to tweet from this account, and then I see that we are like, after this huge moment, our response was like, doesn't Charlotte have the best boobs or something like that? And I was just like, I just thought that our page was going to be a little different. So I felt like if our commentary on these type of big moments in the women's division is just going to be about boobs, I'm like, why? Like, I just felt like we were better than that. And my relationship with that Twitter handle didn't last very long after that.
Yeah, it didn't.
Because they didn't understand where I was coming from. They felt like, well, you know, they're attractive. Like, we have to, you know, talk about it, or, you know, it's a good thing, you know, no one says anything when girls call Roman Reigns hot. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not the first thing people talk about when he does something big. They don't go to his appearance. They talk about how he performed first. And I don't know why that doesn't like apply to the women.
Well, you have to look at it this way. You got to see how women was actually brought out into the world of wrestling, starting from like the 1950s, even probably way before that. And Triple H has said it plenty of times, like they would have women as these sideshows, like, and they would put them in these matches and these acts, like just for time to pass, to fill in that hole.
Yeah.
Bra and panty matches, wet t-shirt contests,
our era
paddle
was
matches.
probably the worst.
The worst era for the women.
Yeah, it really was. And it's funny because at the time, it was revolutionary the way they were using women, because it was the first time women were used in those different type of roles. So it's funny how if you watch like old stuff and they talk about the Attitude Era, they think that they were like the forefront for like women in wrestling, and it was different. But when you look back and you see like old clips of like Trish Stratus barking like a dog in the ring, it's like a little like
it's
uncomfortable to watch.
Uncomfortable.
And mind you, I'm a kid. I don't know what I'm watching is not cool. I said puppies. I looked at Deborah's puppies. Like, I didn't think anything was wrong with it at the time.
Deborah's puppies.
Remember that? Like, at the time, we didn't know we
didn't know
like, we didn't know
yeah.
that was like objectifying her and that kind of stuff. But then as you get older and you look back, that's why I'm so proud of the women's evolution, because of our era of wrestling and how we were showcased. I mean, of course, you had Lita and Trish come out of that era, and there was
we can't
great
forget Molly
wrestling.
Holly either.
Yes, there was great wrestling that came out of that era. Don't get me wrong, and like the Ruthless, like going into that, there was some great highlights, but for the most part, and then the Divas era started after that. So I've read things, and I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about this, but I've read a lot of things and unpopular opinions that WWE is using the women's evolution as a marketing ploy because of like the Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about that?
I think that's bullshit. I can see timing-wise why people would feel that way, but this women's evolution would have happened had it regardless.
Okay.
I feel like, yes, Me Too happened, and it needed to happen. And I'm never taking anything away from those people who decided to stand up and speak up for themselves and are still speaking up and fighting for themselves.
Yeah.
That needed to happen. I feel like everything that was happening, women's soccer or the Olympics, all of that needed to happen. But I also feel like with WWE, it was going to happen in its own right. It just happened to fall into place under the umbrella of all of those other things that was taking place. So they can't even sit here and compare the women's evolution to the Me Too movement and saying that, oh, it's just because all these women are coming together. And, like, how fucked up are you to ever think that to ever compare women's circumstances when it comes down to the Me Too movement, what they encountered to a sports and entertainment realm that's promoting women and embracing women empowerment. Like, how dare you sit here and compare something like that?
Yeah.
Even on the wrong spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, Me Too movement, it does portray women empowerment and speaking up for themselves, but to say that the evolution is only coming because of the Me Too movement is bullshit.
I agree with that. And I think, like, I also read a lot of that because of the buildup of evolution. They were saying, like, they put it out there, but they didn't put all their energy into it. Like, they're, like, half-assing, like, what they're doing with the women's evolution just to say that they're doing it.
That's true. I read that. I read that they were only doing women's evolution because there were no women in Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel, so it was just like to pacify the fans. And I don't know if I want to believe if that was the reason. Don't let me know that was the reason.
Yeah.
Because it really takes away from the women who actually like work hard to be there. Like, these women are literally paving the way. Like, they make me want to become a wrestler.
Right? And I think about that all the time. Like, if Naomi was a wrestler back in my day, like, I would probably be a wrestler.
Right.
Like, because they are, first of all, looked at as athletes. She looks like us. Like, she is shaped like us. She's not, the cookie cutter, people like Nia Jax. So I, first of all, think it's silly for any of these, like, stupid blogs to think they know what the business of WWE actually does. Like, come on. Like, we're never going to know any of that. It's like, it's a big-ass company. Like, we're never going to know that. Why can't we just appreciate it for what it is? Because all of these women are getting life-changing. I think of, like I say before, when I think of just talking about the evolution and the opportunities that women get, I think about, like, the Sashas and the Baileys that, like, have loved this industry for so long and wanted to see the evolution get to where it is. And I could never look in their faces and say, like, WWE doesn't really care about this. It's just a marketing play. You know what I mean? Like, it's just
First of all, Stephanie McMahon, Helmsley, Levesque, whatever, Stephanie is the forefront. I'm so glad that Vince McMahon had a daughter.
Right?
Because
me too.
Shane and Stephanie are the perfect pair to actually push each other's buttons and give that good competitiveness that we need.
And because she's a woman, it just makes it like
right.
So much
it makes it so much better. And because she has a husband who stands behind her and lets her be the forefront instead of her, all right, Stephanie, you did this. You could go back to the back now. Let me handle the talent and this, that, and the third or whatever. Like, the support that she has, and I know it wasn't given to her automatically. I knew she had to fight.
That's what makes me respect her so much, because she probably even had to fight harder because
she's a woman.
She was a woman, and she's Vince's. So imagine, like, the double pressure of that, and it's such a masculine world. Like, imagine, and now there's the most women on the roster than there ever have been. Imagine, like, before, back in the day, there was probably times where it was like her and like 3 other women back there, and she had to, like, hold it down.
Right. You're absolutely
right. I have all
right.
the respect for her.
But you
that.
said something like she had to fight more because she was Vince's daughter and a woman. But what if her biggest fight was against Vince, her father?
I can see that.
I can see that too.
I also have this theory that, like, Vince wasn't all the way sold on giving women this push. I feel like Triple H probably had to, like, be like, no, trust me.
I feel like he's still doing that in a sense because Vince, no shade to Vince, is like, you come from that era
very
where
old school.
The men ruled and the women were the treasure, the pride, the eye candy. So it was just like you just wanted to keep that and proceed with that.
Probably.
I feel like if Give Divas a Chance never trended for 3 days, Vince would have never responded.
Can I just say what a feat that even is, to have something trend worldwide for 3 days straight?
Yeah.
That is passion. Those are how could they have possibly ignored that?
Right.
So my other question is too, so because the women are getting more opportunities, and I feel like the visibility of women in WWE now, with Paige's movie trailer coming out, that's going to be huge for WWE in general, because there's going to be people that are like, oh my God, I'm going to watch this kooky English British rock movie about wrestling that don't know what WWE is, right, that are now going to be brought in the same way that Total Bellas and Total Diva does. So now we see the women like in their everyday lives, which also opens them up to more criticism. And now they're celebrities on another level. So you might recognize Paige on an airplane from Total Divas, but not know what WWE is. So an incident happened where fans were trying to take pictures with her while she was sleeping. So she tweeted, like, you know, basically, I'm not going to quote her, but like that's kind of taking it too far. Like, we love our fans, but like I think taking pictures of me asleep on the plane is a little bit much. And a Twitter account basically responded with, you know, you're a celebrity, you deserve, you know, you don't deserve privacy, and then went on to say things like you deserve to be like in the kitchen, you know, washing dishes, and really like basic corny misogynistic jokes. And I tagged you in the message because I wanted you to just see it as just like, okay, this is some of the stuff that happens on Twitter. And we got like some hate.
We did. We loved it. Bring the hate, people. Bring the hate. Please bring the hate.
I love the trolls, because you can tell people that have like social media accounts and that are trolls that like use that to literally give them pleasure and give them like validation and satisfaction in life, because he like could not wait to respond to me. He was like, oh, you guys are trying so hard, and thanks for putting out my account, like you're putting out a joke, you're going to talk about me on your show and blah blah blah. And I'm just like letting him go on and on and on, like, your little corny account, like nobody, like he wanted,
and we hope that you listen to this episode too. You know,
I know
who you are.
We know you are. And I can tell that he was just so happy that we like responded. And like, I was like, you know what? We were like, we're just going to let him bury himself. And he just kept going on and on with the insults toward Paige, all the women in the division. He just like went on and on and on and on about it. And it was just basically a moment where, and just like the Charlotte's boob, that will always be known as a Charlotte boob moment, it just reminded me and Krista of like why we need to be putting more of a focus on the women talent, just because we feel like they have a target on their back a lot now. Yeah, I think so. I'm glad that we're like putting that focus on that.
It's needed. It's really needed. And just to piggyback on what we were saying earlier about Vince, Attitude Era, I'm not sure if you remember this, but when Jeff Jarrett and China was going back and forth, and Jeff Jarrett was the king of misogyny.
Krista.
And
oh my God.
He had the bring everything, including the kitchen sink match.
I never, for some reason,
China.
that angle, I like forgot that part, and then you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, because wasn't he like,
they were like the Intercontinental Champion at the time.
He used to like beat Deborah, like they like insinuated it or something.
That he was like the boss of her, and the boss of Deborah, and China was just like, yeah, no, like I'm gonna take your title. And China won that match. But it's the fact of you literally had to say, you should be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen while real men come out here and do the job they're supposed to do.
It's funny because I have the network and I've probably watched every single documentary in that. And every time they talk about that match, they never give the details of what the storyline is. It's always just like they had a... I forgot what the name of the match was, like everything in your kitchen
with
sink
the
or something. And then China was the first woman to win, but they never. WWE is very good at like not bringing up things that might make them like look bad.
Right.
That's a pure example of why also China should be way more talked about when it comes to this evolution. Like she's
literally the epitome of the evolution. She's the epitome of it. She is literally the cornerstone. Or like, and it's funny, but it's also sad and bad to say this, because it's like you have China, but then you also have Stephanie. And if you know why it's bad to say that, then you know why it's bad to say that. But it's the truth. And it took me aback at Royal Rumble this year when Stephanie mentioned China's name. She was like, yes, in the ninth wonder world, China. I
can't forget China. I was like, oh, I thought y'all did forget China.
Right. I was like, What?
I have a feeling because of everything happening with the women, I feel like she might get inducted next year.
I feel so. She needs to. Like, it's long overdue.
Yeah.
Granted, life happens, things happen, but that should never take away from the talent.
I agree.
If you look back, China was backflipping, somersaults, coming out with the bazookas, literally putting these other women over.
Everything about the Attitude Era. She was okay on the mic. Like, she had personality. She had a character. She didn't even need DX after a while.
She didn't. But even when she was Mamacita,
with
with Eddie Guerrero, R.I.P. to the both. It just made 13 years for Eddie's passing.
That's crazy.
But even when she was Mamacita with Eddie Guerrero, she still had her own character. Like, she still fought. She literally did not take that role of, okay, I'm going to take the back seat. And she didn't let misogyny, like, literally encompass her character or who she was.
Smashed that shit. She was
she was like literally threw misogyny out the window. So China needs to be in Hall of Fame. She
does. And I'm so glad that I don't know who runs her. I think one of her best friends
runs her Twitter account.
And I'm so glad that he still keeps her, like, every day he, like, tweets from it and keeps her legacy alive. And I'm so happy about that, because one of the reasons why I like the women now is because I love that they embody, like, they are, like, of course, they're beautiful, but they're strong, they're athletic, they're fighters, they're aggressive, they're, like, fierce, they're at all of that. China was that first.
And
she was wrestling men. Like, and that probably will never happen again.
She was, like, the only one.
Yeah, and that'll probably never happen again.
It won't, unless you get Brie to punch Miz in the face again. But
that was a good punch.
Yeah, but she was really the only one, and it was just, like, because... No, let me correct that. She was the only one of the Attitude Era. Because Alundra Blaze was doing
That's true.
as well.
Actually,
Alundra Blaze was like the first.
Yeah, actually,
China was the only of the Attitude Era doing so. Like, you had Trish Stratus and Lita slap the guys or do, like, small Hurricane Radas and things like that. But China was all in it.
Yeah, she was, like, having, like, legit pay-per-view matches with, like, male
She was the first woman to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at this a whole bunch of years later to have our first ever women's Royal Rumble.
I have to say that we are huge China fans, and every time something big happens in the women's division, we just are like,
you have to go back to China.
China should be here. Like, China should definitely be here. And I am glad that they mention her a little bit more, and I hope she
and they show her in the vignettes and the little videos now,
too. That was huge. So I'm really rooting for her to, like, get inducted, definitely.
So before we get off of this topic, I just want to say that this women's evolution is crushing it. Misogyny is going out of the window.
Yeah.
And y'all just need to stay tuned. Like, women are here. Like, girls rule the world. Listen to Beyonce, who run the world, girls.
Yes. And I think, too, one more thing that I want to mention about that is more women are coming into the wrestling fan community. Not saying that we weren't there, but there are more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So all those guys that feel, they don't want to, see us win, or, they want to criticize the women or not welcome us in, we're fucking here, and we're going to grow by the numbers, so welcome us in, and
deal with it.
Yeah, and if you have a problem with it, please let us know on Twitter.
Yes, on Twitter at
please.
T Wrestling Girls, on Instagram, Those Wrestling Girls, on Facebook, Those Wrestling Girls.
Yes.
Subscribe to our YouTube, Those Wrestling Girls.
Yes.
Gotta plug ourselves in, because we want to hear your comments and your feedback. And
I'm glad that you brought up social media, because I want to thank. We have been an account for maybe a month, and the love we get on social media. I just want to thank all of our followers and listeners so much, because it really, like, motivates us to, like, keep going.
Right.
So thank you for listening.
Thank you for that. Now, we have to make this switch, because, and I'm glad that it happened this way. Invasion of Raw.
So good.
Also, it kind of ties into how the women are coming full circle, because last year around this time, the main three people who you saw for Team Raw was The Shield.
Yeah.
Was The Shield. And now you have Becky, who is now being called the Stone Cold of this era.
And I
agree.
Actually, okay, so Stone Cold is my favorite of all time, in case anyone was wondering. And I totally agree with that. So I wore my Austin shirt for Becky today.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's her colors too, her orange and yellow.
Like,
it's her colors.
God, I love it.
Yeah. I agree with the fact that she is becoming the Stone Cold of.
It's like anything she does. It's like we're just waiting. It's like her being on Raw. First of all, they were cheering Becky, and this is not even her show.
It's not her show at all.
And that crowd on Monday, and I've seen this on Twitter too. There are people on Twitter that I do like to interact with. That crowd was dry as fuck on Monday.
It was.
And the only thing that they popped for was Becky.
Becky and Braun.
But
Becky, yeah.
They like totally. And when she came out, it was just something about it. Like, she just has this swag now.
She does.
I wish I can like wake up in the morning and just like
throwing some Becky swag.
Yeah, but yes.
Becky, bring us some of your swag. Like, we need it.
The way she walked out onto Raw, I was like, I need to walk into every place like this, because she walked up like she was about to come in the ring and fuck all of them up.
She's the man.
Yes.
She's the man.
Yes, she so is.
But I like the way how they did the invasion, because usually you'll see it in the beginning, or you see it throughout the show, you see it whatever. Nobody expected.
The surprise factor. Honestly, can we start back that whole segment? So they did a great job of that, because obviously everyone was watching Raw to see Alexa Bliss announce the Survivor Series team. Literally, like, everyone. They waited, and I love when the women main event. So yes. I was like, yes, they're closing with Alexa. So she picks Mickey, Tamina, Nia. Okay.
And Natty.
And Natty, I got that. And then she has Bailey and Sasha.
Disclaimer, guys, she loves when best friends fight.
I love
Just letting you know.
And I also love that feud. So I was like, yes. And then also, they put on a really good match.
They did.
It was like a 5-star match in the midst of all of that. And I want to make sure that doesn't go untalked about today on the show, because everyone's going to talk about the invasion and Becky and everything. But Sasha and Bailey put on like one of their greatest matches.
It was like rewatching the NXT takeover.
Yes,
in a sense.
And they did things with parts of the ring where I was just like, oh, like the
Bailey to Bailey on the apron.
I was like, oh shit, like that.
And then when Sasha
crazy.
Went under the ring, like under the ropes, came and gave Bailey a Hurricane Rana.
That was crazy. And you can tell, and I love talking about them when I talk about fans, because they are such still fans at heart. Like, they still geek out backstage. That's how much of a fans that they are. And I know that they were like, okay, we're not going to be on the Survivor Series team. We're not going to be the focus of this segment, but let's fucking put on the best match ever tonight. And they did that. So I want to make sure that we applaud them for that.
5 to 7 minutes.
And that little quick
segment.
little thing. And people probably even forget, like, no one even mentions that they had a match. Everyone just, because, again, the surprise factor. So then Alexa's like, fuck that match.
Right.
It's actually going to be Ruby Riott. How do you feel about that?
I actually like Ruby Riott.
Me too.
I'm not gonna sit here and lie. She's talented. She's really good, but I don't like it because her and Natty on the same team now. But Ruby like destroying the glasses last Monday, and them jumping her on Monday. This past Monday, it's just like, is their team solid? Because there's dissension right there between Ruby and Natty. Is their team solid? And then when you have Nia and Tamina, who were like the muscle of the group, and it's just like, you can see the cattiness already. Like, I can almost envision somebody's gonna be yelling, "What are you doing? What is this? What is that?"
I don't think
and they're gonna turn on each other. Like, there's no.
I agree.
There's no solidarity within that group.
I agree.
And then you have Mickey, who is by far a great wrestler. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like she doesn't fit the bill to be on that team. And maybe it's because you don't see her fight as often. Like, you really see her as Alexa's little lapdog or a sidekick. And
damn.
And if we're being honest, like, and that's just the way they are positioning her. Like, if you think that she's gonna be a future Hall of Famer, or whatever the case may be like that, then give her some matches. Give her some more. Now, I get it. She's a mom. Yeah. She's a singer.
But it's like
she's
she never
older
has
than
her
the
own
girls.
Feud. She just feuds with whoever Alexa Bliss is feuding with. And it's like, it's such a waste of, I think, Mickie James in general. And I wonder how happy she is with how they're positioning her. Because she does, it's funny because her and Ember the way they're booked on Mixed Match Challenge is actually like dope. Like Mickey James is like a star on Mixed Match Challenge, and so is Ember Moon. Like they're undefeated. Well, I don't think Mickey James is undefeated anymore, but I think that spot could have gone to someone else.
I feel like it could have went to Ember, but then again, it would also be dissension between Nia and Tamina. True. But then, you know, with SummerSlam, I'm pulling a Tom. Sorry, with Survivor Series, I feel like everybody's gonna bleed their team colors, bleed red, bleed blue. But at the same time, I don't feel like Natty fits the mold, and I don't feel like Mickey fits the mold. I feel like it should be Ember or Sasha or Bailey or Dana. Dana's actually good, and they're not even.
I know that's like a whole. We could do a whole episode on how they're underutilizing Dana Brooke, and she's been around a long time. Like she did her time at NXT. She was like Charlotte's sidekick for like she has had like Emma. She was like right there, and then it was just like put her with Titus Worldwide, and now
there's no more Titus Worldwide.
I'm like, okay, maybe they'll chase that momentum, and then they don't even use her for much of anything. So that would have been a good opportunity to start pushing her, to put her on the Survivor. Like, you know what, Dana Brooke, let's put her on there. But that obviously didn't happen. So now let's look at the SmackDown team. So she chooses Ruby Riott. They're in the ring, and then they see that Becky has Ronda Rousey in an armbar. And that whole like segment where the camera's backstage trying to figure out what happened.
It brought back to Attitude Era.
Yeah, all that Austin-esque, because you just never knew what he was going to do. It brought back
to the episode of when he trapped DX. When Billy Gunn was in the bear thing,
it all the way back.
And X-Pac, the ceiling fell on him, and Road Dogg was in the bear thing. Billy Gunn was caught in the net. X-Pac, the ceiling fell on him. Then they got in the ring, and he caught them with a bear trap.
Did you notice how the camera was
it was always shaking.
They don't even know what's going on. And that's what it gave me, like, that vibe.
And it was definitely, like, I literally seen Becky doing Austin stuff. Yes. And to have Ronda screaming like that.
And music played, like, it was like Becky has got to a point where her star power is like, we just want to watch and see her do anything at this point. That's why I love the comparisons to Austin, because Austin had that type of popularity where he didn't even wrestle for like months, and he was like the star of the show.
He has the glass breaking, and that's it.
Oh my God, did you see those videos that people mashed up his music? I was like, whoever did this, thank you.
It's a genius. It's a genius. Austin, we're going to tweet you to see what you feel about that. Yes. So just look out for those wrestling girls.
Please do.
Yeah, so I love that. But then when we got to the ring, and, you know, everybody came, and Alexa Bliss left because, you know, her concussion.
She got out of there.
She was out. And then the cameras is all over the place, and you see Becky hit the floor. She gets up, and her whole face is busted.
Leaking.
And I'm like, what the hell happened to Becky?
When I tell you, she's just like, it's just blood.
And she's taking it. Like, she's not even.
Whoever is mad they didn't watch that live. Because the way they edited it, and like, and the highlights are like in black and white. You can't see how, like, it's so. Like, you could tell how her nose is broken. She's just
wiping.
It made the moment so much more
because she literally
epic.
Was just like,
they couldn't have planned
I'm
that
the
shit
man.
Better.
That's
and just
how
wiping blood off her face.
Yeah,
like, that was so.
And on Twitter,
dope.
She was just like, "This is Irish."
War paint.
Yeah, war paint. I'm just like, Becky, yes, bitch.
She is that. She just keeps impressing. Like, every time I'm like, yo, she can't make me like her more. And I've been rooting for Becky for like. Since Royal Rumble, I was like, since she lost Money in the Bank last year, I was like, okay, when is it going to be Becky's turn? When is it going to be Becky's turn? And now that she's here, I'm like, yes.
So are you glad now that it kind of waited?
Yeah.
For her to, like,
that
keep
was
building?
Great build. That was, like, totally, because it was, no one, like, was like, oh my God, can they turn Becky heel? Like, it wasn't expected. It was like Becky is Becky. But when she did turn, it was like, oh, shit. Like, this is, I don't even think WWE expected it to be this good. I think they're even like, oh shit, Becky, we love you.
Right. That's true.
And she said she wanted to make women's wrestling cool, and she definitely is.
So back to Becky's face bleeding. If you haven't seen on Twitter, I found the video yesterday, and we found who hit Becky, which was Nia. And they even did a slow-mo. And Nia...
Were you surprised when they brought it up on SmackDown the next day? Because I was like... They were like, she has a broken face.
A broken face, yeah. I wasn't surprised. Because I feel like it gives a little bit of the Attitude-esque era.
It does. And honestly, if Nia Jax is a heel, like, if y'all are going to hate her...
It's expected.
Might as well fucking hate her for this shit. Let's show her
even though the hit
Becky.
Was not an intentional, it was supposed to be a punch to the face, when they slow-mo, you saw Nia hit her nose, hit Becky's nose, and, like... Becky's whole nose shifted.
The fact that Becky kept going,
but she got up. That's the adrenaline right there.
True.
That is adrenaline
because
right
you
there.
know, first of all, you know how hard you have to hit somebody to fucking break their fucking
nose
skull area. So when Nia posted the picture of her fist, I was like, because I'm like, her fist had to hurt. Like,
yeah, her hand is her knuckles probably bruised or broke because she has a cut and it's swollen. But like I said, it wasn't. Of course, it would never be an intentional thing. Mm-hmm. But Becky took it like a champ. Took it like a G.
Did. She really.
But it's sad because I was just writing you and I'm like, yo, I'm really excited to see this Ronda and Becky match.
Yep, you did. I was too.
And then it was just like, well, we have to pull Becky because she has a concussion and a broken face
all day. And I was like, well, WWE didn't say it,
right?
And then they opened up with it, and I was like, wow, shit.
They opened up with it, and then the notification came on the phone, solidifying it. I was like, oh, God.
Damn.
And then she picked Charlotte. And what I saw on Twitter, which kind of surprised me, was X-Pac tweeted the hug wasn't necessary.
I agree.
Or no, the hug didn't fit.
No, and I completely agree. And I had a long argument with someone about it because they were just like, well, she has to show solidarity for SmackDown. But the hug was not necessary.
It wasn't.
We're talking about this Becky Lynch don't hug her enemies. Like, that, it just didn't fit. Like, I feel like the handshake, she should have just, like, kept it moving. Like, the hug just was, like, I don't know. But
I low-key feel like when Becky was whispering in Charlotte's ear, I feel like, listen, if you don't go out there and whip this bitch ass, I'm going to fuck you up when we're done. You going out there for me. Like, you're not fighting for nobody. You're fighting for me. Forget everything. This is me and you. Like, we're not friends still, but I'm picking you because I know your capabilities and your strengths.
I hope she addresses the hug and just be like, just so y'all know, like, I just want Becky to just be, like, badass.
Like, we're not friends.
Like, you know how Stone Cold in his peak, like, he had no friends.
DTA. DTA.
You would not catch Stone Cold shaking anyone's hands and, like, hugging people and no.
That was later on.
Yeah, that was like when he went, like, the comedic role. But when he was, like, Austin 316, he was, like, hardcore. Like, that's what I want Becky to stay like.
At least for a long time.
Yeah, for a very, very long time. And also comparing her to Austin too with her whole injury, like this is like when people like are hating Nia Jax for this, like, first of all, we wish Becky all the, like, we hope her get well. Yes, I want
Nia
to make
too.
sure, and Nia as well. I want to say that. But I feel like with Austin, when he got injured, it actually helped his character and career because it started that whole feud with Vince of like, you telling me I can't wrestle because I'm injured and I want to and I'm going to do it anyway. That started like some of that friction. And Becky's star power is so huge, it doesn't matter. It's only going to make the next Ronda Becky match better. Like, it's only going to make anything Becky Lynch does at this point better.
And Becky's trolling still.
I know.
Her Twitter.
Her calling Ronda, I know I said this before, but her calling Ronda Ronnie is the best thing ever. Like,
Mike, a coworker who works with me, he was like, I just had to sing this, and he sent me like the tweet of like Nia and how she responded about the hand and things, and I said when I said I like to have fell out laughed because Becky is like doing things.
She is.
She's like Austin on steroids.
Yeah,
with social media.
Has social media.
Yeah, like now Austin, all he had to do like interviews like this.
Yep.
Or going on TV on Raw or SmackDown or saying whatever he had to say. Now you could simply get it from your phone.
Yeah, imagine he was like dogging The Rock out on Twitter back in the day.
Jesus Christ. They still be fighting in that ring.
Yeah, that would be so funny.
I could definitely go for another Rock Austin feud though. I'm not gonna hold you. Okay.
That would be amazing. So I want to talk more about some of the other storylines happening in the women's division right now, and in your opinions on them. So first off, people thought Asuka should have been chosen for a Survivor Series.
I agree.
I agree too, because I just think Ronda Rousey's style and Asuka's style, like, and I wish Ronda.
The crowd popped when Becky stood in front of Asuka yesterday.
That's why Asuka was last. I was like, yeah, but then she went back to Charlotte. I mean, it had to be Charlotte or Asuka.
Yeah.
So at least it was one of them. If it was somebody else, I would have been like, Even Naomi, like, I love Naomi, but she's
Naomi didn't fit that. No,
she doesn't fit. Yeah, you're right. She does.
I wonder who team captain's gonna be.
Yeah.
I wonder who team captain's gonna be.
Hopefully Asuka. I just want them to do more with her.
Asuka's already on the team though, no?
True.
So who's team? It's Carmella, Naomi, Asuka, and I think Sonya.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder who team captain's gonna be.
That's gonna be.
They sleep on Mandy Rose a lot too.
Yeah, I'm glad they gave her that little time on the mic last week, and then I think her and Naomi might have a little something because she came for Naomi's husband, and I was like,
hold up,
like, oh no,
don't be coming for my husband, sis.
Not keep his name out of your mouth.
You come for me one too. Don't come for the husband now.
No, and I believe like SmackDown doesn't really have. I love their women's roster, but they don't really have as many, like, storylines for the women. Like, I can't even, like, none really, it, like, stands out for me unless they're going to start up new stuff like the women do. But
like the men do?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, like the men do. How do you feel about the whole how Ember is being, like, positioned on the main roster? Do you like this feud, this beginning of, like, Nia Jax and Tamina and her?
I don't know. Because I feel like every time somebody becomes friends with Nia, they're not friends with Nia anymore.
That's true.
And that's either because somebody turned on Nia or Nia turned on them because of her strength or her weight or her build. And it's just like, Ember should not be in that so soon. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think she's been on the main roster a full year yet. Mm-hmm. If she hasn't, it's just passed. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, Ember, she's so talented. And this is the thing that bothers me when they come up from NXT and they allow a lot more wiggle room down in NXT when it comes down to their talent and what they possess and what they can do. Then they come up here and it's just like, all right, you're gonna main event, but you're not gonna do as much as you were doing in NXT. And that's why I feel like that misogynistic creative part comes back in when it's either Vince or the guys who are writing because
it's like
it's like because they don't know how to put these women in spaces because it's like at the end of the day this is a male dominated field. We can't have these females overshadowing or outshining the men, and they do a lot, a lot. Like
they do.
I'm just like, so with Ember's really really talented. Like her, like when I first saw her on the main roster. Because I'm not going to lie, I haven't really been into watching, get a chance to watch NXT as much as I should be. But when I saw her on the main roster, it was just like, yo, this girl is nice. And then I'll go back to watch NXT and I'm like, yo, they're all like this?
Yeah.
Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley, Carmella. Well, Carmella really didn't do much, but
they all have really
it's like they have secret weapons in their arsenals that you never know about.
Yeah, unless Sasha tries to bring that as much as she can.
Because Sasha is Viva la Raza.
Yeah, she's a wrestler's wrestler. She's like, I'm here to wrestle.
Right, and it's just like when we got to see that triple threat match at WrestleMania. Or the NXT takeover between Sasha and Bayley. Or the first ever 30-minute Iron Woman match. Or the first ever last woman standing match. Like, it's things like that you don't get to see unless it's like a pay-per-view or some type of big event.
Yeah.
Let us see that all the time. So I'm glad that you mentioned that match between Sasha and Bayley because everybody just really looked past that and saw, okay, they're not in Survivor Series match. Oh shit, Becky got Ronda in the armbar. Oh shit, Nia broke Becky's nose. Oh shit, Becky still took it like a champ. She's the man.
And I don't even think they were a part of the brawl either. I think they were in the dressing room.
They were on the side on the floor because remember they rolled out the ring and apparently due to that Bayley got injured
because didn't Nia and Tamina beat them up, right?
Okay. Yeah, and then they rolled out and then SmackDown girls came and now Bayley's supposedly injured.
Really? Damn, all these injuries. I hope that these injuries are half medical being more on it with stuff to protect the wrestlers as opposed to like
just letting them kill each other until they're injured.
Yeah, I'm like, is it y'all injuring each other more, or is it just they're being more careful with like concussions? And I'm glad that they're being more careful with like concussions and stuff. And I heard that Alexa Bliss is definitely returning to the ring at some point, so she's not like retiring. But going back to Ember Moon, I kind of like this like feud with Tamina and Nia because, like you said, if you're friends with Nia, like, because she came in as Nia's tag team partner. So I'm like, okay, this is cool if Ember's like first real feud is with Nia, because Nia kind of like brought her in kind of thing. You know how I feel about Tamina?
Yeah.
I wanna love her. I do, but
you saw how like when they announced her, everybody they either didn't clap or they was like boo.
It's just something. It's not exciting, and I understand like she's not going anywhere. Like she's Jimmy Snuka's daughter. Like she's not going anywhere. So I guess I just have to like her, I guess.
You don't have to.
Putting her with Nia, I was great on there.
It was like the Samoan dynasty from a female's perspective.
That's going to be dope, actually. That's actually
because
pretty dope.
If you look at it, the females are really taking, like, before, like, going way back, High Chief Peter Maivia,
There's so many.
Roman Reigns' father and uncle, Alpha and Secret, the Wild Samoans, that's what I meant. And then you have The Rock, because his mom didn't fight, his grandma didn't fight. You have The Rock, but his grandfather is High Chief Peter Maivia. And then from The Rock, you have Roman, Rikishi, the Usos, which are Rikishi's sons.
Dynasty is long.
And then Roman, who is the son of, I believe, is Sika. And then you see Tamina come along, and she's paired with Naomi, but she's also the daughter of the late great Jimmy Superfly Snuka. And then you see Nia come along, who is the cousin of Roman and the Usos and The Rock. So now it's just like, all right, the guys, they're really not doing nothing with them. Now it's time for the Samoan girls to take over.
Which is so cool.
The Samoan women to take over, excuse me. So now it's just like, okay.
I like
now we're going to see what the women are going to do.
I like it.
But do I like the fact that it's like a 2-on-1 with them and Ember? No. But if it gives Ember a chance to showcase what she really has in store, then yes.
That's what I think is going to build up into like this really great moment for Ember Moon where she does overcome them. And then it's just like, because
or we get a shock, like, we get a shock of a tag team partner for Ember.
True. That would be really cool too.
Like, and I mean like an NXT pull-up, not...
Yeah.
Or if we put Ember and Dana together.
That would be cool, because they're both like short but
stocky.
Yeah, I think that would actually be pretty dope. Because from being at Evolution and just seeing how hard people are pulling for Ember nowadays, I don't think WWE is going to ignore that. I think they're like, okay, we got to do something with this girl, because she is amazing, and you can't not notice how amazing she is.
Right, you can't. Yeah, that can't go unnoticed whatsoever.
Like, she's so cool. So now we're at Natty and her, which I hope will turn into like a bigger, maybe even pay-per-view match with Ruby Riott. How did you feel about them breaking Jim's sunglasses? Like, how do you think that was too far? Like, what are your...
Being somebody who lost a father, who lost two fathers, sorry. I feel like things like that are a touchy subject. Storylines are not like, there's no way you could talk about my daddy and I'm not going to punch you in the face. Or if I show you something and you rip up a picture of his or something, and I'm not going to sit there and cry. Like, to be honest, if I was Natty in that situation and Ruby Riott broke my daddy's sunglasses, I'm jumping out of character and I'm punch you in the face. Like, I'm literally going to sit there and hurt you. I feel like it's just too far. Yeah. Like, certain things should not translate into the world of wrestling. Granted, Jimmy was an icon. Like, his infectious laugh, him part of the Heart Foundation, all of that. But things like that should not translate, especially because it's not even a year since he passed. It's like...
Not even 2 months or 3 months?
Probably like 2 or 3 months in, and now we're bringing him into a storyline. I don't like it.
It seems to be a pattern. Like, I think it just comes with WWE loves exploiting deaths. Like, they always do it. They've done it with like Paul Bearer. They did it. They had Brian Pillman's wife on air the next day after she died. Like, they had Big Show's father's casket.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they
and
literally they even
much.
did a storyline with Charlotte Flair's little brother when he died. Like, they literally.
Wait, who was making fun of her?
I want to say Sasha
making fun of the suicide.
I don't know who she was feeding. Maybe Paige. I think it was Paige.
It was Paige.
I think it was Paige. But like, they used that in the storyline, and Ric Flair was there too. And supposedly, I heard like the family was really upset because they didn't like let the family know that they were gonna like bring it up. So I don't know if that's just WWE's thing, but I don't see how Natty could be okay with that. But I guess she's also loves the business, and she probably is like, oh shit, this might be a good storyline.
But like I said, it shouldn't translate into that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, nobody brought up Vince's father in any storyline when he passed away. Like, nobody brought up, High Chief Peter Maivia when he passed away, or Jimmy Super. Like, nobody brought them up into a storyline to where,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that at all.
Do you feel like she feels like her father would be okay with it because he was such a like not easygoing, but like fun loving and like had a sense of humor and also knew and loved the business? Or I don't know. I'm just thinking of how Natty could have possibly rationalized it.
I don't know. Or maybe she didn't. Maybe that was just something out of character. They decided to run with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then Monday when they just trying to make fun of it, it was just like, I apologize.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not really apologizing.
So, that was an accurate response for them because they're heels, I think.
Yeah, it was. But at the same time, it's just like, it's really still too new.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I totally agree.
Natty came in with fists. I would have came in with chairs.
Yo, for real. And she had to like leave after, which was interesting. So now I want to hear your predictions for Sunday. And are you team red? Are you team blue?
I would have been team red if Roman Reigns was there.
Oh. Sending you all our love and prayers.
We're going to say it. Right. We're going to say it every episode. Damn. SummerSlam. Why? Because I need the heat.
Yeah.
I think I need the heat back.
We're cold here in New York.
Right.
Very cold.
Survivor Series predictions. Well, if it was going to be Becky and Ronda, I was definitely going team Becky.
Same.
I love Ronda, but I was going team Becky. Now, I think I'm team Ronda. Because
it's funny because I think I am too, actually.
Because
I don't want to see Charlotte win.
Yeah, we love her, but it's just like they're giving her like a Roman push. And I hate it. As much as I love Roman Reigns, I hated the Roman push. It was just like you're literally throwing her down our throats.
Can't believe that you're saying this, Krista.
Listen, I keep it real. I'm a real fan.
You are a real fan.
I am a real fan now. For team, I feel like Team SmackDown for the women have the upper hand right now.
So too. And they're so cohesive right now.
Right.
Like, they are really bleeding blue right now. Especially their champ is down. So I feel like that's going to give them even more, like,
and to
fire.
do it for, like, I feel like the whole match should be dedicated to Becky.
I feel like the whole crowd's going to be cheering Becky the whole time.
They surely will.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
So we should tell them where we're going to be at on Sunday for those who are in New York.
Yes. So we are going to the Jobber Tears podcast Survivor Series viewing party at Legends in NYC. And I want to give a shout out to, I cannot remember her name right now, but she and I are going to make sure that we meet because she made a reservation for 10 people for Sunday. So she's going to be in there lit with her friends. So I can't wait to meet her. And so, yeah, that's what we will be. So if you are located in New York City, we'll put some more info on our Twitter. So maybe if you want to watch Survivor Series with us and some more
meet
fans,
us. Come hang out with us.
That would be really, really fun.
We would love to see all you guys. It's just to give you hugs and say thank you for subscribing and listening and following and meet all of you. Like, this is only episode 2, but we feel like we're growing so much with you guys, and we want to keep it growing. Also, comment below on our social media.
if we are talking shit and you don't agree with anything we're saying, let us know.
If you agree, let us know.
If there's more you want us to talk about, let us know too.
Well, I guess this wraps up this episode of Misogyny. Yay. I hope we cleared the air. The women are ruling. Yes. The men have to, take a step back or support the women. Not even take a step back. Stand side by side with them.
And put them on the same playing field as the men. Treat them like the men. Criticize them like the men. Don't go harder on them because they're women and because WWE is giving them a chance, because that just is fucked up, and it just brings us all the way back. And the reason why the women's evolution is happening, like Krista said, it's not because of just Me Too. It's like the women literally, their talent pushed for it, and they literally keep pushing it even further. So me and Krista are going to be here to champion for them all the time.
Regardless, yep. With that being said, I'm Krista B.
And I'm PR.
And thank you for listening to those wrestling girls. See you later.